How do you think social media has affected Jiu-Jitsu?
That's a big one, right? Yeah.
It's a very interesting question.
Like everything, there's the good part and the bad part.
There's a lot of bullshit. A lot of bullshit.
It's a fungus and it just mutates every time somebody adds to it.
I mean, that's good or bad, depending on how you look at it. I mean,
even if you don't like it, you have to admit, in my opinion, I do think it's good for the sport, and I do think we're all gonna make a little bit of extra cash because of it.
I feel like YouTube is the first social media platform that really changed all of jiu-jitsu. You know, like YouTube was the place for you to go learn things from different people from all over the world, right? You can, go on YouTube and learn from a guy who lives in Australia, like you're saying, as opposed to, never actually meeting a guy like that, never actually being at a seminar with a guy like that. Now, he lives in Australia, he's teaching moves on YouTube. You can follow his channel and just go learn moves from him,
Guys, just going to go through a common question I get, especially in seminars when I'm teaching K-guard, is how do you defend the toe hold or foot locks? Okay,
so the internet's obviously it can be really good and there's a lot of resource. Overall, it's had a massively positive impact. I think when YouTube first came out and you get people on who didn't really know what they were doing, showing stuff, but it's probably more and more likely nowadays to actually be from a reputable source. Now, I mean, obviously there's still some dodgy stuff out there, but generally it's a really good tool. That said, I still think it's important to have guidance from you, especially for people who first start, to have their coach, guidance from them in terms of what they should be working on, because it might be that working the berimbolo as your first technique is not necessarily the right thing, even though it does work and it is cool, doesn't mean it's the first thing you should learn in jiu-jitsu.
It's just much more professional, and there's just so many more resources. When I started training back in the day, I was telling the story recently, there were a few VHS tapes circulating, right, that we'd borrow from our friends and then lend to someone else. And like, if a purple belt came to visit South Africa, that was like a huge thing. And this was over 20 years ago, right? So it's obviously changed, but I didn't realize how fast it was going to change.
But there was always recording, much less before, but everybody on the camera now on the phone, so everything you do is instantaneously on social media, it's on the internet.
If the guy is here, it's your fault. You fucked up. In the beginning, we didn't have computers, YouTube, DVDs, all this information.
The information was very scarce, and it looked that people that got better were the most dedicated people. They were acquiring information, analyzing, going to seminars, studying tape, blah, 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 blah. And you have to, you had to exert some effort in order to do so.
We would get hijacked tapes, which would not transfer over to the United States from Brazil, and it would play in black and white. And we'd be like, wow, they don't even got color TVs over there.
I remember reading Marcelo Garcia's X-Guard book, right? And he talks about in that book how he learned jiu-jitsu by getting old jiu-jitsu magazines that had static, just like still images, right, of a single position, right? And then he had to troubleshoot, reverse engineer how that position works, blah, 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 stuff like that.
Yeah, everything's changed, man. It was really hard for us, reading Gracie mag and going through Jiu-Jitsu magazine and Fighters Only and Tapology to see these 8 pages of jiu-jitsu techniques that weren't really great, things like that. So, you had to scour books and magazines and old videos and all kinds of stuff to pull out these little pearls and gems.
Bing. 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 I'd rather be in the monk position than give a, pussycat punch on him,
So look, I'm gonna open my guard, but I'm not gonna let my leg fall like this like I'm a prostitute. But we would get like Brasileiro de Equipes, or we would get Mundial, or whatever tapes we could get our hands on from Brazil. and we'd sit there and watch them and dissect them and do what the kids are doing now. The only thing now is my little kids are crazy. They're already doing stuff that I'm just learning. They already know it.
If you think about how rudimentary that is compared to like, I can, you know, like hop online and watch instructionals from like some of the best instructors in the world, right? And immediately learn, I can take a concept or a topic which would otherwise have taken me a long time to figure out on my own, and I can understand them much quicker. It's obviously going to boost the ability of people to learn jiu-jitsu.
I think in another way that's good is you're able to see the instant replay, so to speak, of perhaps highlights of a match that just happened, or breakdowns and studies of an exchange that just happened the night before. Instantly, it spreads on the internet like right away, and this is really good in my opinion. The ability to instantly get access to matches to study.
I mean, it helps. You know, it's just to make a bigger propaganda. It's you know, it's news. You know, the quicker and faster the news just reach more people.
You know, white belts are getting to see innovation, you know, innovative techniques happening the day they happen. And so jiu-jitsu is expanding incredibly fast.
It's hard to keep a secret with any technique. The moment that you do it, I mean, that's it. There's a camera pointing at you, regardless of who you are, you know.
But at the same time, if you're fucking up so many people, by the time it gets viral, you already fucked up a lot of people. Now, make a DVD about it. That's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. You know, everybody got their own shit. Every black belt got their own shit.
There's techniques that you think are awesome, and then like you know, they come through, they're new, and then like a year later, everyone's solved it, and it's like a new puzzle to deal with. So
he does this guard, now everyone's doing it, and now he's got to do something different to go out there and win again. And so yeah, and people will, even people that work, you know, 9-to-5 jobs, they're on YouTube, they're watching, they're getting good. You can get really good from just watching YouTube videos. If you have a good instructor, I wouldn't recommend you just watching 10 different videos and then going to the gym and trying them all. You know, I think having a good instructor is super, super important.
In a good way. I think we've all got lots to say about bad way, I guess. In a good way, I mean, it's popularized it. There's so much access to viewing it. You see so many highlights, and I think it makes people like curious into watching it. Like, it didn't have that much exposure before, for sure. Like the way I would watch jiu-jitsu would be on YouTube, and like the old like jiu-jitsu like your highlights, you know, you'd watch on YouTube, but now you can just watch a reel and get like a mini highlight in 2 seconds. So I think that's so much exposure for the sport. It's going to push it so much more.
The acceleration of information is what changed jiu-jitsu.
Nowadays, today, you have in-depth instructionals, 10-12 hours of content on just one instructional you can buy, and you could excel your learning a lot faster through all the things we have on the internet than what you can or what you could have in the past.
We have unprecedented access to jiu-jitsu information that no one else has ever had previously. If we look at instructional content and it's almost like a renaissance of instructional content, right? That has been probably the most valuable thing to come out of like the social media age of jiu-jitsu.
So now with media, with mass media, that portion is much easier. But is it better, man? You know, it's like smartphones makes us stupider, you know what I'm saying? Because we rely so much on ease of operation that you don't have to exercise your brain anymore. So unfortunately, that's like the drawback of mass information, you know? So on one hand, it's easy to acquire. On the other hand, like you become kind of lazy, because it's not like you don't have to be centered and focused to acquire that anymore. So if you have a good like core, then mass media is not going to corrupt you. But like if you're growing up in this like instant gratification culture, you might fall a victim, you might fall prey to this consumerism, you know, like never-ending videos. So they become consumers, not like true users, you know what I'm saying?
Your chin belongs on your chest so that not even a fucking credit card will go underneath it. And then you can either do Home Alone, you can pray to God, or you can do X. I think in the future you're gonna get guys getting promoted rather quickly, or what you're gonna see white belts doing what black belts do already, and really well. And yeah, the evolution is just getting faster for the fighters, especially the dedicated guys who put in the time.
Let me inspect you, mama. Yo, I'm sure you got a pretty vagina, mama. But it looks a lot like a banana.
It's the only way it could go. The more information that's out there and accessible to anyone with a phone, that's gonna accelerate the evolution of the sport for sure. In that regard, social media is great for jiu-jitsu. If you're talking about the acceleration of technique, in the 90s, we didn't have that shit, Seminars were way more valuable back then. Now you have webinars and DVD, or you really don't have DVD. I don't even know what you call it. Everyone calls it DVD. You just, in jiu-jitsu, because you don't want to explain. You're like, yeah, make it a DVD. It sounds better. You're like, there's no more DVDs. It would move a lot slower if there was no internet.
So the pool is much wider and much deeper, right? And as they say, like a rising tide raises all ships. So there's no easy roles anymore. Like a good blue belt now, or good purple belt now is what a black belt was 20 years ago, right? Like everyone is just getting better and better and better. And when you start to get older, it's kind of tough to accept that, but it's the nature of the game. Like as I said, the universe is constantly trying to evolve and produce this gold, right? And that's the same in jiu-jitsu. It's like it's creating a more and more sophisticated art.
I think the biggest positive is that people who otherwise maybe would have struggled to have built a name or developed a career now have a greater opportunity to do that, right? Think about like how many guys out there who are like really good instructors that you would have otherwise never heard of because of social media.
Business-wise, social media is monstrous.
Alright, a lot of you guys are asking what I'm doing on OnlyFans, and truth be told, I'll do anything for money. If you want my dirty underwear, I can send that to you. I can send that to a training partner as well.
It's huge to get exposure as an athlete. Like, we didn't really know how much interest there was in the sport at a certain time, I think. But now you see famous jiu-jitsu athletes on social media with thousands and thousands of followers. I think there's a lot more money being brought into the sport because a lot more people realize that they could make money off this industry. So we see bigger brands offering bigger sponsorships to the athletes. So I think that's huge.
I think it's allowing a lot more jiu-jitsu athletes to train full-time because they're making a little bit of extra money on the side.
Pick one. I just picked one. Instagram, do business. Don't, talk a little shit.
Facebook and Instagram and other platforms, they give this opportunity for people to see, what we do.
I can't do Twitter, Facebook. I don't fuck with any of that shit. But I just don't have time. I got Instagram, jiu-jitsu business, talk a little shit, I'm good.
You can reach out to a top level athlete and ask them for advice. Maybe they'll respond, maybe they won't, but you can do it. You're getting this direct access to an athlete or to a gym, and I think, so in that way, it's good.
Actually, I think one of the guys who did the best ever at social media is another Australian, Kit Dale. I think he was one of the first guys that ever sort of really blow up on social media and cross that boundary of like, you can be famous for the jiu-jitsu community. I think he's one of the few that actually sort of transcended the community. He's got fans all around the world. So seeing how he utilized it, being close to home, helped me understand the social media game a bit better. Yeah, he is probably one of the most famous jiu-jitsu athletes out there. He's got some of the biggest super fights. He fought in Metamoros at the time and stuff. So like, I think a lot of people can use social media a whole lot better than they already do. But I think, yeah, as a tool, definitely help promote individual athletes very well.
They're able to get more sponsors because now they're bringing value to their sponsors. Because if they're posting consistently on social media and they're getting views, now a company has an actual legit business reason to give them a check. you sponsor a jiu-jitsu athlete with whatever, a CBD company, a supplement company, and they're posting about your company, you're actually gonna get clients from that. You're gonna get customers from that. So yeah, social media has completely changed the game. It's created a lot more opportunities. That was the reason that I was able to, stop teaching as much, was once I started to get a couple sponsors, and a lot of that was due to social media as well. So yeah, it's changing the game. It's not only sharing techniques and information, but it's also putting more eyeballs on athletes so that they can start to create some more revenue for themselves, and then they're able to train more.
It's interesting because I'm seeing more people in places where otherwise there never was great jiu-jitsu before, becoming very, very good. You could hypothetically be in the middle of nowhere, relatively speaking, in the jiu-jitsu world, but still get very, very good. And I'm meeting a lot more people like that from when I traveled around Asia for seminars, when I traveled around Europe for seminars or for competitions and stuff, I meet all sorts of people who are really good in places where high-level jiu-jitsu was, you never associated those places with high-level jiu-jitsu before.
The stem cell technology that we have provides athletes with the possibility of healing whatever tissue or issue that they might have.
Like, I couldn't play rubber guard at all. It's been over 1.5 years since my surgery, and just doing this was, I'd feel it in here, just tender.
We have a lot of jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts fighters that we've been friends with for a long time that come in and say, hey, can you help us out to see if you can do something before surgery.
Your body is how you make a living. If you're a fighter, no one's gonna fight for you. It's all you. So if you don't take care of yourself, you're not gonna make it to fight night all that often. If you can take the cells that build the body in the first place and inject them into your injuries, they will rebuild the parts of your bodies that are injured.
So it really gives the athlete the best chance to heal their body without going to surgery.
But there's zero inflammation, and this does not hurt at all. This is incredible.
If you or your training partner, your coach is feeling a little bit broken, you've been training jiu-jitsu, some combat jiu-jitsu a while, and you're looking to get healed up, or if you just want some information, just hit us up at the Cellular Performance Institute.com. Tell them Scotty sent you, and we'll do our best to hook you up.